Welcome back. We are starting our new series here, Blockchain, Crypto, DeFi at Work. Keep or get a job over the next 20 years. If you're thinking about venturing into some new space in the workplace, or you're looking for an opportunity or concerned about the long-term prospects of your current job, this is a series you really want to listen to and consider in terms of maybe looking into something that has to do with blockchain, crypto, or DeFi. Now, this series is not meant for folks who have a lot of experience with it. This is really an introductory course, so that hopefully it'll whet your whistle a little bit to hopefully have you investigate a little bit more and learn about this, because this is the up and coming technology that's going to change the world. You watch and see over the next year and a half or two, you're going to be shocked at how quickly this takes place as well. And everyday life, companies, shopping, everything is going to have some element of digital assets in blockchain, crypto, or DeFi. So this series, again, is meant to really just be more for the beginning person who, again, is really just has some questions. It's a safe place. I'm going to read through some definitions of things, give you some examples of what it actually looks like, and go from there. So we're going to jump right in. But before we jump right in, I'm going to ask you to hit the subscribe button, click the thumbs up, and then also click the alert button. And if you've been back a couple of times, why haven't you subscribed yet, right? Maybe you ought to think about it. Maybe it's time to commit to me. Anyway, we're going to get going. Number 20, what is blockchain? Okay, I'm going to read through this. A blockchain, originally blockchain, 2 words, is a growing list of records called blocks. They are linked using cryptography. And I'm going to stop there. Okay, so a record is exactly what it is. You have all kinds of records that you get, right? You go to the grocery store, you get a receipt, that's a record. It's a record of receipt. Cryptography is something that's basically coded, right? And so I'm just going to give you some basic examples. I think everyone's probably seen A Christmas Story, and Ralphie gets the Little Orphan Annie decoder, right? And the radio announcer gives him all these numbers that are aligned to letters, and he has to go through and solve the puzzle that's been given. And it's Ovaltine, right? And so he's like, it's a crummy commercial. Great scene. But anyway, that's cryptography. That's basically, in essence, what cryptography is. So as you're thinking through these things, don't overcomplicate it, right? You can get this. You can understand this. So that's what it is, only on a higher, more detailed, longer level, right? All right. Each blockchain contains a cryptographic hash. Okay. And I'm not going to, it's the same thing as the Merkle tree here. And I'm not going to go through this. We're not going to get that in depth on this, right? Of the previous block, right? And so as new information is getting added, it's being added to the blockchain, thus the word and the meaning of it. And it also has a timestamp and the transaction data, right? So when you go to the bank and you deposit money or a check or withdraw, and you're given that bank receipt, it'll have the time of day, the amount, and any other data that probably the remaining amount balance on your account as well, right? So that's basically would be the essence of one of those blocks. And then the next time you go, but it's really more public, right? Somebody else will have something else in there, and this is blockchain. So we're going to keep going. By design, a blockchain is resistant to modification of its data, right? So you can't go in and erase the receipt that you get from the bank and put another number, or if you give somebody a check, they can't just add a 0 on there. That's why this is, a good technology. This is because once recorded, the data is in any given block cannot be altered retroactively without alteration of subsequent blocks. For use as a distributed ledger, and we'll get into that as well, a blockchain is typically managed by a peer-to-peer network, collectively adhering to a protocol for inter-node communication and validating new blocks. Now, there's a lot that's being said there, so I'm just going to try and summarize it. Peer-to-peer would mean you and I, right? So let's say that we're talking and chatting via, instant message of whatever source you want to use. That's a peer-to-peer conversation. A distributed ledger that's managed on a peer-to-peer means that we both have that ledger that's collecting those blocks of information, right? With those cryptographic hashes and timestamps and everything. And we'll get into what that looks like, but there's multiple nodes out there and protocols that basically validate what's on those ledgers. And a ledger, again, is what you see in the back of your checkbook, right? As you write checks or make deposits, you're keeping a ledger, and that's all that this is as well. All right. So the blockchains, although blockchain records are not unalterable, blockchains may be considered secure by design and exemplify a distributed computing system by high Byzantine fault tolerance. And I'll get into that in just a second. The blockchain has been described as an open distributed ledger that can record transactions between two parties efficiently and verifiable in a verifiable and permanent way. Okay, I'm going to stop there real quick. A Byzantine fault tolerance basically means that there's a group that if there's a disagreement or something happens or takes, there's a bad actor in that group, which would be those peer-to-peer nodes, it basically will eliminate that bad actor there. So again, I'll let you get into the details of what that looks like. You can do a search for this as well online and find out what that means. And then the last paragraph, the blockchain was invented. Okay, this is some black helicopter stuff here as well. You as soon as you start searching and doing more research, you're going to hear all kinds of things about who actually invented this. But I'll just give you the summary because this really is kind of the evidence of where this technology came from. The blockchain was invented by a person or a group of people using the name Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008 to serve as a public transaction ledger of the currency Bitcoin. And we've all heard of Bitcoin. And if you haven't been watching the news, any financial show that you're watching on TV is most likely to have now a flashing value of Bitcoin going and scrolling at the bottom of the screen, if not news segments on it. The identity of Satoshi Nakamoto remains unknown to date. The invention of the blockchain for Bitcoin made it the first digital currency to solve double spending, which we'll get into later as well, problem without the need of a trusted authority or central server. The Bitcoin design has inspired other applications, and we'll get into that as well, and blockchains that are readable by the public, which is another nice thing. You can trace the first transaction on Bitcoin back to the first one, and are widely used by cryptocurrencies. The blockchain is considered a type of payment rail. So again, Bitcoin was the first one, and we'll get into that when I cover in a future video here in the series about the different cryptocurrencies. But that's just really kind of how this whole thing got started. There's better technologies out there than Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is really viewed as a store of value, but again, I'll get into that. But that's basically what blockchain is about, right? And so also one more thing with Bitcoin, it's broken down. It's divisible by, X number of decimal points called Satoshis, right? So you can take $10 and buy some Bitcoin. You don't have to pay the full, I think it's like $32,000 today. So just another side note there. That's going to be it for now. I'm going to ask you again, just to do me that favor, hit the subscribe button. And again, if you've come back multiple times, maybe it's time, come on in, join me. Get the alerts, hit the subscribe button, and click the thumbs up, and we will talk to you on the next video.